name's Emma Forrest-Lee and I'm the Associate Principal at Grimsby Institute. This is our second of 6 trips with our KA1 staff-funded project. We're looking at 2 things. Firstly, we're looking at how we prepare people to travel overseas, to work overseas, the differences between cultures, European cultures, national values and fundamental British values. The other thing that we're interested in looking at is how we prepare people for freelance work, for employed work, and the differences there again between our European state of affairs and how it is in the UK, and how that filters through into education. So what kind of work placements we have, the class content, and there are 2 main lines of inquiry. We've got 5 people on this trip. That follows our trip to Malta and precedes our trip to France, where we're looking at those same 2 things.
2/3 of our learners in Creative and Digital will venture out into the world and go overseas. Okay, so what we need to do is prepare them for the cultural differences, not only for them experience work somewhere else, but also in their homeland UK. And what I want to do is how they embed their culture into their lessons, and if we can take anything back and how we can embed that into our curriculum as well.
We're really interested in going to Germany because the structure of work placements in Germany is very different to the UK. Students have to, I understand, set up a 2-day placement with the government before they can enrol on their course, and then there are 2 days in employment and 3 days at college. So we're going to go and have a look and see if that's for everyone, if that's for some areas, for some subjects, and how we can bring some of that practice back to us to benefit our learners.
It'll be a great insight for me to see how different teachers, different cultures, a completely different country will deliver their lesson, and how their materials are exposed to the students, how they interact with their students, what kind of relationship they have with their students. So for me it's all gaining a wider base of knowledge and how I can bring that back into my classroom.
Personally, I always think that Erasmus is an amazing CPD opportunity. It's confidence building, it's looking at taking management of things, so we'll divvy up different responsibilities through the week, so it's managing a small team. Some of the colleagues that we're bringing haven't been managers before, so there's a bit of management experience in there. It's looking to prepare everything that we prepare for the trip, being organised and writing the reports afterwards, and also we'll write action plans. So some of the things that we'll take into our classrooms, some of the things that we'll share with our learners, the real specific things, but generally I think it just develops confidence really well in planning and management and organisation, and that's what I'm hoping to see from our colleagues. English tea.
Yes, thank you very much.
And for you a tea towel from Grimsby.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much.
So this is us. So arts, digital, creative. So that's what we wear.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think amazing is the Carpenters Project.
Yeah.
Because they really do it once a year, always 2 weeks before Easter. I think really interesting because it's the start. It's really the start at that point of time. And you will see all the beginning, like
Right.
people talking, introducing the project and things like that.
Okay, we are an art and design class. 2 days a week. We're 2 days a week in the school and 3 days in internships.
In Germany, for example, we have different schools that are specific for different areas, and this is a specific area for arts and design. And what this school gives you in the 11th class is that for 1 year you get to do a work experience, and then 2 days a week you go to school, and but the work experience has to do something with arts and design.
We look for ourselves, but at least I have always, we got a list from our teachers where we have some examples where we can go. I always have this in mind, but I look for myself mostly. So the teacher isn't really involved.
It's good because you kind of learn how to be responsible for your own and everything, and then if someone gives you the internship, you didn't really do anything for it. So I think that's also a good process about this.
It works out quite well because each year students come up with new companies I never heard of before. Yeah. So my list is getting longer and longer. Yeah. Sometimes I do give hints to my students and saying, okay, you could try this one, this one, this one. I do not hand out a list for all students because then they'll start like students do, start at the beginning, call them, without any personal interest. So I really, before I start helping them, I want them to do the first step, which is like write a letter of motivation.
Okay.
So that I know what are your interests, what can I look for you, what is your regional area, how far can you get,
Right.
and things like that. I try to work that out to make it not too easy for them. And then I give them a list of 4 to 5 employers and say, okay, you could try there. And sometimes they give me some feedback and say, okay, Mrs. Wegener, this company does not longer exist. Okay, sorry, drop them out. So, but yeah, this is how it works. It's just like being every year in contact with all those companies and with students with new ideas. That's pretty nice. Who is of the opinion that an intern is a good thing? Me, of course. Who'd rather not do it again?
Okay, why?
I was going to say why.
It's very long, and I work from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and it's very long, and it's just exhausting.
Do you think by the end of your placement you will be a better employee? Will you have a better chance of getting a job?
Yes, sure, yes. This is really important here in Germany normally. They look what you're doing out of the school. If you have already knowledge, because they don't really want that you need a long time to get in the job. They want that you know what to do. And I know already really a lot of person, they do it in their vocation. They do this also out of the school. This is a must here, but they are also doing out of the school and they have more chance to get one job in the future.
Do you think that everything you're learning
Yeah.
at present
Yeah.
sets you up for your employment? So all the stuff that you're doing here
Yeah.
gets you ready
Oh yes.
through your internship
Yes,
and
yes.
then straight onto a job. So once
Yeah.
you've completed your course, you'll be ready for work, do you think?
I think so. Yeah.
So you've gone, I beg your pardon.
Yeah,
you were saying?
because we learn everything in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. Yeah, I really think so.
So it's a very broad spectrum
Yes.
of design work,
Yes.
ready to take up employment.
Yeah.
I think for Arlo is to hear from you how you're saying that it really helps you become more employable, and we know that, and it's such a valuable thing. So to hear you say that is fantastic.
Yes, they look what you are doing outside of the school when you have more knowledge. Oh, it's better, sure. Yes, because yes,
It just makes sense, doesn't it?
it's also the same thing if you have a job. I have 3 jobs, just the saying. And when I show what I do already outside the school, they make big eyes. Oh wow, you are really a person that is engaged and like it to work. They like it to see something like this. Wow, you can take this person. She will work for you. This is what they want to do. So.
And they get a lot of knowledge and get a lot of self-confidence, which we can't give them here. Because in school they have the feeling that it's only a play or a game. And in these 8 weeks they realize what the employment situation makes.
You learn how to work with. You learn to work, yes, because for example, some of us weren't 18 yet, and it's very hard to get a job when you're under 18 and you don't have any experience. And now a lot of people have gotten jobs through this work experience, and they're more open to people. And yes, I think it's very valuable to do that. And I especially actually chose this school because they have the internship, because some other schools have arts and design, but then I chose this school because I wanted to have the year experience with work and everything, because I've never done something like that.
Are the students that do the internship more employable than
First of all, I'd say we have to start one step earlier. The school ability increases. You can really see a huge difference between class 11 and class 12 students. That means in class 11 they are like, okay, totally exhausted because of the intern, but they are like, yeah, normal students. And in class 12, when they come back, they somehow learned to value school as something like more relaxed, less stressful, and they start getting an idea of what it means to have a goal in life, which is the exam first and foremost. Because they know there is something after life, and I should prepare carefully to get that done. And in other courses, in the 3-year courses especially, it is like, okay, in class 11 they start like young students. In class 12 they have not changed very much. In class 13, okay, they are getting nervous because of their exams. And here it is completely different, because it is like, I always call class 11 my little ones, and class 12 are, yeah, well, the grown-up ones. Because somehow when this intern is over after a year, the whole personality has changed. They have gained so much in terms of, known about life, not only about this special area. Julia, may I ask you to read your culture shock thing out loud? Because, as you know, we'll visit Arto Theatre on Thursday. And for us it's quite nice as a starter to have your insights on how you felt about your internship. And will you do us? Can you read this out?
The people at work are always happy and extremely crazy. All of them have a different style, and the feeling when I'm at work is so different comparing to school.
I repair the hats and costumes, and I search for the the rehearsal costumes, and I prepare the fittings.
She has a lot of interviews in theater things. She sees the fittings, she sees what happens in the tailoring, she sees what happens on stage, and things like that. So she gets a bright wisdom of what she wants to be in the future or not.
And who arranged the placement? Did you offer the placement? Did you ask for the placement?
Yeah, normally we have 2 people in the year which we can offer a place. Yeah, we have 2 places here, and then we write it out, and then people see it in the internet normally, and then they send a little invoice, and then we look at them, talk with them, then we decide.
Why do you offer the placement? What's the benefit to you?
The benefit for us, we have a little help in the market. And the other thing is, what is very important, that people get a view in the theater, look for what is this whole thing. And they make, like, Werbung. Advertising for theater in the end.
I see.
So if we have we have almost, it's 2 young girls only for 2 weeks or for 3 weeks. So it's all the time we have people here, because we're all paid by the government. So we have to give a little bit back, and that the people know what's going on in this theater. Well, for what's
so it's like a moral duty and advertising.
Yeah. Okay. That's plus minus.
Have you ever taken anyone on after the placement?
Yes, very often. Very often people have made, like 1 year they were here, and then they made a tailor.
Yeah.
They learned tailor at us.
Okay.
Very, very often.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every time when I go out of my internship, I feel the difference between the people in the theater and the people in the outside. But when I'm home, the re-entry shock happens to me. I never had the belief that people can be so different.
It's an absolutely individual approach.
From an employability point of view, I thought it was interesting in the internship class we was in, especially the expectation that students were meant to find their own work placements. Obviously the college provides support for those who are struggling, but that's the kind of approach we wanted this year. So I think if we can embed that into our students early on next year, we'll be more successful in terms of getting placements. And I think it's a very good sort of experience. From an experience point of view, they just lead on. And I thought it was great to see.
I think that is going to lead us well into today, because today we're going to see an employer, aren't we? So we've got some classes to observe this morning, but then to go and see an employer. So we heard about someone who got a placement with bookbinding and someone who worked on the carnival. So today, hopefully, we can ask them how do these links come about, what kind of paperwork, and what are the real tangible differences between what we do and what happens here, and we can really get to the grips of how we can make a difference at home. So.
How do you feel that having this work placement will benefit you in the future, your employability?
Yeah, for sure. You get a little view in this job.
Yeah.
And maybe because of this little change, school work, it's like a bit easier for you to handle this.
Okay.
You can learn a lot when you make your own way, but when you get under pressure in this situation, not everyone is this guy who like to sit every day in the school, and maybe we should search for something more open now, for something more individual. Well, like this. It's more theoretic in school, and here you can really work with it. You can, spray your own ideas around. Not like make this Aufgabe, make this. What? Make this task. Here's like, handle autonom and making your own thing.
So do you feel like this placement's made you better at design?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There exists a contract which is set up by government, which we hand out and which has to be filled in by the employer and signed by the employer, their parents, themselves, and us.
Okay.
So that's one contract, about 4 pages, including starting dates, holidays, and but also the requirements the employer is asked to fulfill. So he really confirms, I will do my bit to make this work.
Right. Okay.
One page of this contract, it really says, okay, while working, the student must be insured about the company, and he's not insured about school.
Do you teach your student about meeting deadlines and being polite and all the qualities that a good employee should have?
Zeigen Sie, was ein Mitarbeiter haben muss, also nett sein, sowas alles. Also sagen Sie vorher, was Sie brauchen.
Nee, vorher sage ich, das ist immer eine Überraschung.
Okay, it's a surprise every time. Ja.
Er sollte natürlich schon handwerklich ein bisschen geschickt sein.
Should be a little bit good with the crafting.
Aber hier bewerben sich eigentlich auch immer nur Leute, die auch Interesse an der Materie haben, am Papier und am Handwerklichen. Also hier kommt keiner, der 2 linke Hände hat, hatte ich noch nie.
So there are people that are not good with crafting. You should be a little bit interested in it, and you want to do that, and yeah.
And do you think that when a student's finished their internship with you, they're ready to be an employee better than if they hadn't done an internship?
Glauben Sie nach dem Praktikumsbericht, ja, das
ist alles gut.
Nach dem Praktikum, dass man dann ein besserer Arbeiter werden könnte,
ja.
Dass es hilft?
Merkt man bei Lena auch,
okay.
Dass Lena sich da jetzt schon viel besser eingearbeitet hat nach der Zeit.
Okay, so she said that she sees that on me, that it's better every month, every week, and it's helping a lot.
Man muss natürlich auch dabei sein, dass es ja immer Leute sind, die aus der Schule kommen. Das sind ja Kinder eigentlich noch, die eben aus der Schule kommen. Die können da Schlange stehen nicht, die müssen sich ja erstmal an dem Arbeitsleben gewöhnen.
Yeah, they have to get used to it because they are always used to sit on chairs and to be in school, and it's the first time mostly. And that can take until you are used to it.
We do have those 4 reports my students talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
Presenting the company, presenting the activities, presenting a product, and evaluating the whole internship.
Right. Okay.
And they come each 2 months about that. So that is a regular monitoring, and these reports are built on each other. So you can't really write this 3rd one well if you haven't done the 2nd one.
Right. Yeah.
So this really shows the students' process to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will always provide them some help for the reports, of course, like a little structure framework, some scaffolding, and so if you just ask a student to evaluate something, it was like, okay, it was thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
So you really have to provide some help, like, okay, expectations first related to the outcome. How will it shape your future ideas of working in that area? Will you continue working in that area? Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Although we are not experts in the carpenter's business or in the in the flowers business or whatsoever, because me as a photographer, Kati as a graphic designer, we have our specialist areas, but we know quite a lot. And in our design and art subjects, we always refer to single students saying, come on, I know in your company, what is it like with the design principles when decorating something?
Yeah.
And so we try to integrate this in our lessons in a natural way.
Yeah.
And it really helps to really have something like a certain benchmark to know that student has more insights into that area than I have ever had. I just have my impressions, and to somehow figure this out. And it gives the student a nice feeling of being an expert. So I love that.
It's nice to teach and have a connection with the employees too, because we always get in touch, and for the students it's very practical, because they can understand why they're learning, because they can get experience at work and they learn the theory here. In Germany we have the duale System. That means they're working in the hair salons for like 4 days a week, and they're 1 day in school. So they're forced to do it just like that, and it lasts 3 years, and they've got a certificate after it, and so they can work as hairstylists. But in Germany you need to do that, so you can't work as a hairstylist when you haven't done that. We have a principal here, and she is like the chef of everything here, but we all get paid by the government, because in Germany we have Beamtentum. That means we work for the government, and it's good because you're really safe in your job, but otherwise, you can feel too safe when you're a little bit lazy, but it's okay for most people.
Is teaching seen by people that get into it as a job for life in Germany?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a job for life, totally. And I mean, the safety is cool because you can work on long-term things. So you can plan for 3 or 4 years for a project or something like that. So you're much more willing to put your work in it.
To be a teacher, you have to love it, I think. Otherwise, you couldn't do this in whole life. I think the teacher the job of teacher isn't as respected as a judge or in law or something like this. But for me, it's not a question, because I like to have a freeness of doing things with young people, that they can bring them to a better future. I think this is the main thing I'm feeling about this. Teacher of the secondary school part 2, this is what we call Sekundarstufe 2, generally paid by the government. So the Ministry of Educational Systems, I think that's the name in English, and we are directed by the ministry. The minor administration is, we call it Bezirksregierung. This is a district. We have in North Rhine-Westphalia, we have 4 or 5 of those districts. So in educational systems, our headmistress or director of the school is upper to me, but in main things I'm only responsible for the ministry. So this is a special form of freeness, I think. It's different from private schools where the guy who pays for you can say what you can do. We are responsible in what we educate at curricula, different kinds of curricula, and naturally laws and something like this. And we are not very often controlled. When you want to have a better job, I think this is what. If you want to be in head of a department or something like this, you have to recall or something like this. Guys from the government comes, inspectors, and looking at your lesson. I think 1 or 2 lessons. In this school, we have implemented a feedback system. Though 2 times in a half year, we ask our students in different items how they feel our educational, our lessons programs. We have a special day, and 1 or 2 days in the year we gave the students time to speak to us and gave us feedback to our lessons, and we gave them feedback to their kind of working. Next year we have what we call Qualitätsanalyse. There's a very big program from the ministry to inspect every school in North Rhine-Westphalia, and we have yes, we will be I think in the next year one of the schools will be visited. There's a 20-page big question paper we have to prepare, and then 1 week in one time, 1 week, inspectors come and visit different lessons, half an hour, and make notices. Our school program, the kind of making notes and something like this will be prepared.
If you look at the whole cultural envelope though, from the initial conversations we had with our fellow teaching staff, and then, like you said, the head of house was mentioning about this inspection, and was there out of training, and they are confirmed teachers, if you like, they're left alone. Culture as a whole here seems not less stressful, because that would be the wrong, but a more relaxed approach to living and things like that. I think that may have proven evident when you used that programme this morning.
Yeah, primary back. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It was a very good way for the students and the teacher and us to sort of collaborate. I know Emma asked 10 questions about the cultural differences between British us and German people, and I think they initially found it difficult to answer because I don't think they knew their own values as much as we would have thought they did, and there was a lot of similarities to our own, and it was good just to see on the screen that people just answering questions, asking questions about us about them.
It's good because we are a big group of people, and this is a way that we can all talk or discuss things, and everyone can be part of this. The question here was about teens, and point one is I don't know English teens, and the other one is I think teens that are connected more or less to the internet is we're all a bit the same because we follow trends and we listen to the same music. It's all in the internet, and so I think that values are something that's different from country to country or culture, because this is something you get from your tradition or your parents or your culture, and it's not related to the age of your.
I think teenagers in the world are all the same because of the internet.
We're all humans, so we're all the same. Doesn't matter where we come from.
What is like to be German? I don't know if I even feel German at all, but what it's like to be German. I don't know, for me it's normal, but I don't even know if I act German.
I think to respect the other one is very important, because everybody in every country are different lives, and I think everybody should live the life that he wants, and I think when you are proud of your culture, then it's important to live that one.
It's interesting that the definition of values isn't as clear here as it might be in England, and that might be to do with the way we've been encouraged to teach it, but clearly the understanding of it is still there, and people understand what it is to be German, what it is to be English, and the differences. It's just trying to sort of flesh out the ways of describing it and the ways of putting a name against it. The kind of things that have been coming across so far are that the English are very polite, interestingly very happy and warm-hearted, open-hearted, but also very encompassing of our Queen and our heritage, whereas our German colleagues are very organised. And one thing that is very interesting, our German colleagues feel that there's lots of opportunities for them, lots of opportunities for good careers and for financial growth, and that's something that's coming across strongly that I hadn't really thought of before, so it's been quite an interesting exercise.
It's proved to me that you've got to travel, you've got to understand what your fellow peers are doing and the way everybody's taught.
Over the world.
Absolutely, absolutely, because when we initially came here, and since we were landed, everybody's been so polite, whether it's the facilities where we are, the teaching staff and so forth. But then you actually start to understand people. You can see learning's taking place, but culturally it's just taught very different. And I think sometimes you don't get into a habit, because that would be incorrect to say. However, their system works for them. But with teaching and learning, it's not just us, it's everything that comes into that.
We're coming here and the tutors I work with will get to understand themselves more and where their teaching sits and where their values are from this experience. And one thing we're working on together is trying to find opportunities for students to come and do exchanges the same way as teachers are, because I think that it helps you grow. And if you struggled with the question of what is a British value, what is a German value, once you've been and had a look at another country, you'll be able to answer that. So you'll know yourself more, you'll be able to answer what a German value is more. I probably couldn't answer what a British value is until I've been to another country. And now I'm sure, because I've seen the differences. So not knowing now isn't a problem. It probably just highlights to you that at some point it would be really good for you to go and have a look at other values, and that will tell you your own values. And also make you question them, because not all values are good values. Is it a good value of us to be very polite and to stand back and to wait? Or is it a good value to push your way through and be forceful and to get that career? Which is the best way? So values aren't always the right thing, they're not the wrong thing, they're just something that tends to build up, and it's something that becomes the norm, something you'd expect, and an acquired behaviour rather than a decided behaviour. So sometimes it's good to look back on other people's values and adopt some other values and change your own. And that's what we're doing as a group based on this experience. So thank you, because your help will help us, your input here will help us reflect on our values and maybe change some. But that would be great for you to do too, and it's just part of the learning process.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Emma. Thank you much for asking. I had the impression, or I thought before the English came, that we are the ones being very structured, organized, maybe even a bit formalist. But now I think, compared to the British, some things are even more relaxed in Germany. And what I really liked is that we both focus on the student and his benefits instead of focusing on rules and regulations. So I like that very much. But there are lots of similarities between the structural approaches, I guess. I mean, the main difference, of course, is that whenever we are at college, we offer the next higher degree. That means we have all those compulsory subjects such as politics, German, mathematics, English also, which is a good one. But yeah, of course, I'm a bit jealous that the British can focus on really the subjects such as photography, performing arts, computing, and don't have to bother with those things the students most often do not enjoy. So I think that's great in the British system, but of course a certain general knowledge that we provide until the age of 18, 19, A-levels mainly, might be of good benefit as well.
We're coming to the end of our trip to Germany now, and I think one of the biggest impacts on me has been seeing the team grow as individuals. I know that I did Erasmus at the start of my career, and seeing some of my colleagues go through the same growth that I did has been really rewarding, and to be able to put that in place for them. But also just as a team and working together and understanding how we work a bit better, I think that will help us in our day-to-day jobs.
The academic side of things initially were the ones that struck me. They're very different in how they teach, very different in how their lessons are structured, and very different with their classroom management. all of which we can take back to the UK and implement in my own classrooms also. The cultural side is all very different, and their way of life and their living, to which has been very relaxed and enjoyable, but also a very big learning curve while we've undertaken it.
Going into the classroom was incredible to see how other teachers teach and how other learners learn. So watching the teachers disseminate their knowledge onto the learners in a completely different fashion to what I would, with less resources. However, with less resources they utilise their space around them a lot better. So for me, in my computing background, what I teach back in England, I'm going to bring that style of teaching into my classroom.
When I get back to Grimsby, the first thing I'm going to do is have a look at the form example that was given to us by Christiana, and sort of rewrite what we do already, using that as a guide. I think it'll make our jobs much easier in terms of recording work experience for the student, in terms of impact for the students as well.
Instantly when I go back, I want to talk to our work experience team and share some of the information that we've picked up, and start straight away to work on a timeline. So when we expect our learners to be contacting employees, at what point they should have contacted them, and then start to share that with the team and brand it, and change our delivery to be really a dual system, so that the learner doesn't just get the mentor of the tutor but also an employee. And that's been a striking thing here that's really hit me.
What I'm going to take back to my classroom is not just the academia, it isn't. The cultural side and the way of life. You can clearly see that our colleagues here over in Germany, we all work hard but they play hard, so they're rested up well and ready to learn. I firmly believe as well that to take the classroom outside now, looking at the way people venture outside and enjoy the side of learning in the sunshine, if you like, but to take the classroom outside and still formulate your class and proves that learning is still taking place.
My mentor for this trip, Emma, started her teaching career when she was about my age, and she did her first Erasmus trip when she was my age. For her to bring me along, give me this opportunity to be here and to experience the things she's experienced when she was younger, and to see where she's got to now, it's been fantastic to be given this opportunity to spread my wings a little bit and see what other teachers do in the world, and show that teaching just isn't tutor and learner. It's about seeing what opportunities, what prospects you can bring to each and every learner individually, and to see how the Germans do it is absolutely amazing.
As a person, I think I've grown mainly because I've been able to interact with a different culture. Sometimes you can be just boxed in by your own surroundings and not really grow and experience things. But come here, I've seen things from a wider view, kind of outside the box, if you like. It made me appreciate things more. Some of the things we take for granted back home.
For me, this trip hasn't just been about work, it's been about growing as a person and not just as a tutor. It's grown me immensely, and I can't thank anyone enough for letting me come.
As an Erasmus project, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I hadn't heard of Erasmus until Emma Forrestley, our Associate Principal, introduced us to this, and how fabulous can it be to not only come to another city and another part of the world, another country, but to see how our colleagues teach. There's nothing, you can't walk away from this and not take valuable information with you, and not take valuable information with you that as a tutor we can implement in our class.
A great thanks to Erasmus for giving us this opportunity and for giving the opportunities to the colleagues. It's been a really rewarding week. Hard work, lots to think about, but very rewarding and very productive. I think it will see us through for a long time with lots of new ideas.
I really liked the week when my English guests were here. I mean, it was of benefit to my students as well as to me, and in general that means for our college. So on the one hand side, it was nice for me to see how my students perform when British guests are in the room. So it really motivated them to talk English, or they questioned their English themselves. But it was another situation. They could not turn back into German language. They somehow had to go through it. So that was beneficial, of course. Second, I really liked the questions that my British guests asked my students and me as well, because normally nobody asks us to reflect upon German values or this thing of employability, working values. It might be important in one or other subject, but really being brought into that situation where you have to talk about that for a second and really make up your mind in a different way. That was really interesting. For the students, very, very challenging. Very, very challenging for me. But within the week, I got, more and more self-confident about what I think the German values or my personal values are. And at the beginning of the week, I remember when I talked to you on Monday, it was really like, taking on responsibility, somehow like, and now I think I have a clear vision myself again, and that is really, really nice. And the other thing is, what I like very much is that the English guests talked a lot about where they see differences between the German system, the British system, and so having this permanent comparison, so to speak, broadened our horizon as well. And it might be the little things, such as having the mobile phones on the tables in the lessons, or like keeping all data in a digital way, but to more college organizational matters as well. So something of great value, I think. And by the way, we really had a good time when we were outside college. So it's just funny, open-minded guys that came over, and I really enjoyed being in contact with them.
Ich freue mich sehr, dass wir Kontakt zu einer englischen Schule aufgenommen haben, vor allen Dingen meine Kollegin Frau Wegener. Und ich finde es sehr schön, dass wir uns internationaler aufstellen, dass unsere Schüler die Gelegenheit haben, auch mit dem anderen Bildungssystem konfrontiert zu werden. Und ich bin sehr glücklich darüber, dass Sie diese Woche bei uns waren.
Thank you for hosting us and for making the experience so good. I've seen my colleagues grow in front of my eyes. It's been brilliant, but the effort that you've put in has been great. And do you know, I think it's down to our growing relationships. So we first met through someone introducing us, and then we went to Malta together, and we planned a project for our students, and that was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and we email all the time, and I think that shows in this project, because you've made such an effort to host us so well, and it's because you understand exactly what we need and what we're looking for and what we can bring to you.
And this is the interesting thing. I mean, I was so excited to be before you arrived, because I really enjoyed our first meeting 1 year ago, and it was like, okay, seeing Emma again, and I expected it to really be a stressful week for me, and it was just entertaining and enjoyable, and it was nothing like that. Traveling is only nice, but hosting is even. So that was really a nice experience, that it is not stressful and lots of extra work, but it's really like, motivation, benefit, and I can't wait to see you again and do the next steps. I think it was really great progress.
Yeah,
meeting your colleagues this time, and you met mine and met my students, and so
And I
we're
think
getting closer and closer.
We are,
So-
and we've built some relationships with colleagues, as you say now, and you're going to come and stay at my house and visit.
I
And visit the
can't
college.
wait, yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
can't wait.
We've just got loads of ideas for projects from this, and I just think this is going to be a long-term, really rewarding partnership, and just can't wait for the next thing. So thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.